Flask-SQLAlchemy is an easy way to integrate Flask and SQLAlchemy together. It handles a lot of boilerplate for you. It's a thin integration layer between Flask and SQLAlchemy. If you use Flask and SQLAlchemy separately, you are responsible for creating the engine, managing sessions, making sure the session exists for each request, and cleaning it up correctly every time. Flask-SQLAlchemy does that wiring for you. It creates and manages the SQLAlchemy engine, a scope session tied to each Flask request, and automatic teardown so connections don't leak. You still write normal SQLAlchemy models and queries. Flask-SQLAlchemy just removes the boilerplate. So hopping right in, our first file, we're going to take a look at our requirements.txt file. In here, we are going to specify Flask with this version, Flask-SQLAlchemy, and SQLAlchemy. You don't need to explicitly state this right here. This can work just fine. But to ensure we're using a specific version of SQLAlchemy, we'll go ahead and specify this here. And here we'll go ahead and hop into our app.py file. And here we say from Flask import Flask. We're going to create a function called createApp. This setup will allow us to extend this later on, and you can add different kind of configurations. Let's say like you want to make a testing environment or a production specific app or a development specific app. We can add different parameters we want to specifically change for different environments. For example, we could say is testing here, and we can handle that down here in the logic. We'll set app equal to Flask with the name passed in and return the app. We'll go ahead and create the app here, and then if we run this file directly, we'll run it in debug mode. Then we'll go ahead and take a look at our models.py file, and in here is basically the bulk of the SQLAlchemy setup. We have all of our imports here at the top. Then we are creating a base class inheriting from declarative base, giving every model we want an ID. And then where this differs with just plain SQLAlchemy is we're going to say db is equal to SQLAlchemy, and we're going to pass this model class equals base. We do this that way whenever we go further down and we say class user db.model, that these models will inherit this base class. Also, this SQLAlchemy class right here comes from Flask-SQLAlchemy directly as the integration layer that we talked about earlier. Then we have an init function to go ahead and take in a Flask application. You can set various different app configs that Flask-SQLAlchemy will automatically connect with the database. If you do control click on this init app, we go and open up this file here. We can see here are the different values that it can read from on the app config. But doing this will allow the database to set up whatever is necessary to automatically handle database interactions with your Flask application, and then create all the tables. As for our tables, we just have two tables for now. We have a users table and a post table, both inheriting from db.model, instead of the base class that you would see in the other SQLAlchemy videos. So the user is on the table name of users with a username and a list of posts. Then we have a post table with a title, content, user ID, and a user related to that post. So with this setup, we will actually have to call this initdb in our app.py file in our create app right here. So we'll say from models import initdb and go ahead and initialize it here with our application. This correctly sets up Flask-SQLAlchemy with our Flask application. We can go ahead and run the file by clicking the play button up here for run Python file, or we can open up the terminal. And down here, we can type Python app.py. And here we can see it went ahead and started the Flask app. And we see on the right side here, there is this instance, which has our database inside of it that's inside our models.py right here. We'll go ahead and stop this, go ahead and close that. And now that we have this application, let's go ahead and add some routes to use this with Flask-SQLAlchemy. So on the right side here, I'll go ahead and create a new folder called routes. And inside here, I'll create a folder double-init.py. This will make it easier to reference these without having really long import names. So this will be blank for now. We'll go and create another file in this routes folder, and we'll call it user-routes.py. And we'll keep routes specific to our user in here to keep things a little more organized. So first we're going to import from Flask with the blueprint. Blueprints are just a way to organize your endpoints with Flask, but it allows you to add custom configuration for each kind of blueprint you create. So we'll go ahead and say users blueprint is equal to blueprint. We'll pass in the first parameter as the name of the blueprints, we just call it users. We go and just pass in double under name double under. And then we can optionally pass a URL prefix that will automatically apply to each route that we create. So the first route we're going to create is creating a new user route. So whenever this endpoint is called, it'll create a new user in our database if the user does not exist already. So we can go and do this by saying @userblueprint.route, and we'll just pass it in empty quotation marks for now because it automatically applies this /users. So this would be the same thing as if putting this here without a URL prefix. But in doing this, it can save us a little bit of time whenever we're making more than one route with the same prefix. And we'll go ahead and specify the methods used for this route, just a post method, because we're submitting data to then create in the database. We'll go ahead and create the function create user route. And now we can have all the database logic inside this file, but this will be more maintainable if we split the business logic, so the database interactions, outside of the routes. So we will have a function that calls a function in a different file that is specific for interacting with our database. So to do this, we're going to head over to the right and create a new folder. This one we're going to call services. And here I'm going to do another double underscore. It'll be empty for now. Then we'll create a new file called user service.py. And in here, we'll go ahead and say from models, we're going to import the database and our user class. We're going to create a function called create user, taking in a username, returning a user. We will check to see if this username is something we can actually use. If not, we will raise a value error. Then we will go ahead and check for the existing user in our database by doing db.session.query with the user class, filtering by this username and getting the first one that returns. If that user exists, then we'll go ahead and raise a value error saying the username is already in the database. But if it's not in the database, we'll go ahead and create the new user, add it to our session, and commit it. Then we will go ahead and return our user. Now we will go ahead and head back over to the init for services. And here we will say from.userService import create user. This is just a relative import since we're inside this package to reference this user service right here. So we'll go ahead and grab that create user. And now we'll head back over to the routes file. And now we will go ahead and say from services, we will import this create user. And now we can go ahead and start setting up this logic. So this is all our import's going to be. It's pretty small and pretty easy to read. And we got that logic separated out right here. So first up, we go ahead and grab the data from the request. So the data that's used to create the new user. Then we'll say user is equal to create user, getting that username from the data. If an error happens, we'll go ahead and catch it and return an error response. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and return the new user's ID and the user's username. All right, and to make this a little bit easier for testing, we'll go ahead and create a new user's blueprint route as a GET request. So we can go ahead and do this in the browser. Getting the list of users by calling users equal to get users. And this is going to be a new function in our user service. So I'll go ahead and click on this. Just have a little function here that returns a DB session query of our user, limiting to 25 and returning all those. Then in the init file for our service, we'll go ahead and also import get users. And then back in the routes for users routes, we will go ahead and convert this into something that can be used by JSON. If you try just returning the list of database models, it will throw an error. So with this, now we'll go ahead into the init file for our routes folder. And here we'll say from Flask, import Flask. This will just be used as typing. Then we will say from this user's routes from this relative import, we'll go and import the user's blueprint. We'll create a function here called register routes, passing in an app, and then registering the blueprint on the app. Then we'll go ahead and head back over to our app.py file. And from here, we're going to say from routes, import register routes. Then after our initdb, we'll register routes with app passed in. We will go ahead and pull up the terminal. In here, we can verify these routes are connecting to our Flask application by typing Flask routes. And here we can see the users.createUserRoute and the getUsersRoute are both existing right here, meaning they have linked up to our Flask application successfully. Now we can type in python app.py. It's running. You can command click or just go to this in the browser. So in our browser, we can go ahead and go to this Flask endpoint and we can go ahead and type /users. Go ahead and go there. We can see it returns an empty list because there are no users in our database. But this just shows that we have everything working. Now, one thing you might argue or think is a downside to this is the fact that we're splitting up in a bunch of different files, that it can get pretty tedious to go between each files. And that is one of the downsides to it, but this is much easier to maintain and extend on to add more and more features. So let me go ahead and provide you another example. So let's say that we want to do something with posts with our database. Well, we can go ahead and go over to services, create a new one called post service.py. Here we'll go ahead and create a couple functions, one for creating a post and then one for deleting a post. So once we have these in here, we go to the init for the services, go ahead and import these functions here so we can reference this easily. Head over to our routes folder here, right click new, we'll have a post routes. And inside of our post routes folder, we'll go ahead and get the boilerplate up here at the top. In this case, I'm not adding a prefix here. since I'm going to have a couple different things in here. But the first function we can add is for adding a new post by calling the endpoint of users, passing in a user ID, and then post, passing in the data required to make the post. I'm going to go ahead and get the data, try to create a new post, and then return the new post ID, title, and the user associated. We could then also add an endpoint for deleting the post by having the post URL with the post ID as an HTTP method of delete. We'll go and delete it by the post ID, try to delete it, and then return that it has been deleted or an error occurred. So with both of these new functions, we can head to the init file of routes. Come right here, update these as you need to. And then down here, to make sure that these routes are registering correctly, we can type Flask routes. And we can see right here, the 2 new routes that I added for the post have been added successfully. So cool, that's how you can integrate Flask with SQLAlchemy. If you found this video helpful, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.